Hi and welcome to today's book. Now today's book is a non-fiction text, so it's an information book. It's not a story. Someone hasn't used their imagination to come up with the story. It's full of facts. Okay, so this is from the RHS, the Royal Horticulture Society. So horticulture is to do with caring for plants and nature in general, because they're talking about froggies this time. So, how does a frog grow? So that's our title on the front cover. Then on the back, we've got the blurb. It says, from frog spawn to wriggly tadpole to hoppity little frog, this fun to read picture book shows every stage of a frog's life. So, it also says on the front, with fun flaps. So, we can do a lift the flaps stuff. Yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to with our fun lift the flaps. Have you ever seen or heard a frog in a garden? Sitting under some leaves, whoop, rabbit. Croaking from a pond, rabbit, rabbit. Jumping into the water with a splash and a plop, splosh. Well, let's learn some more about them. Frogs belong to a group of animals called amphibians. Like most other amphibians, frogs spend part of their lives in water and part on land. Frogs are good for gardens. They gobble up snails and other creatures that eat plants. So annoying when snails gobble up all your lovely plants. So frog is very helpful. Big eyes on the sides of their heads, see there, either side rather than at the front, help frogs see all around as they hunt. Have you ever wondered how these hoppity little creatures grow? Let's find out. Our story starts in early spring. Hundreds and hundreds of tiny frog eggs are floating in a pond. The mummy frog laid all these tiny eggs in one go. There are up to 2,000. My goodness, that's a lot. Nearly all frogs lay their eggs in water. When the mummy frog lays her eggs, the daddy frog is with her. What a good partner. This mummy frog is a common European frog, so one that you will see, quite regularly, regularly seen, okay? The tiny black eggs don't have shells, because when we often think of eggs, we think, that they will have shells, but eggs don't have to have shells. They are covered in clear jelly-like stuff, and the eggs and jelly are called, did you know this? Frog spawn! Bet some of you did. Ponds are great places for wildlife. Lots of mini beasts live there. Frogs can lay their eggs in the water, and birds drink and bathe there. Fish can live there too. So we've got a dragonfly nymph, that means like a young dragonfly, and then we've got a dragonfly, a grown-up one, flying over there. We've got marsh marigolds, pretty flowers over there. We've got a midge larvae, so baby midge, it's going to turn into one of those little flying midges when it's all grown up. We've got great diving beetles there, and a pond snail over here. Lots of life in ponds. The jelly helps the frog's eggs stay safe and warm and stops them drying out. After 2 to 4 weeks, oh my goodness, the tadpoles hatch. They push out of the jelly. At first they don't move far, but after a week or so they start swimming. The young tadpoles have feathery gills so that they can breathe underwater. If we look closely over here, you can just see the gills on the side. We're going to follow this pink line through the rest of the book, okay, showing us the life cycle developing. And here we've got a close-up. This close-up picture shows a tiny tadpole growing in its blob of see-through jelly. So when we see frog spawn, we just see the jelly with a little black dot, but just think, that is what is going on inside. Frog spawn, all developing, that tiny little creature is growing. At 4 weeks old, the tadpole's gills are now hidden under skin, so we can't see them at the sides any longer. Young tadpoles feed on plants in the water. Older tadpoles eat small water creatures. So we've got lots of plants, small plants there on the surface. As the tadpoles grow, their body shape changes. They swim about, wriggling their long tails. They grow bigger and bigger and bigger. They've now got back legs. At about 6 to 8 weeks old, the tadpole's back legs start growing. So those are some 8-week-old tadpoles. Frogs lay lots of eggs, but many won't hatch, and most tadpoles don't live to become frogs. Other animals eat them. Oh, yikes, like that hungry fish. As summer comes, the growing tadpoles change more and more. Let's follow our pink line. These 9-week-old tadpoles now have front and back legs. They still have long tails. At 14 weeks old, this tadpole has become a froglet. It has bigger legs and a much shorter tail. I love the word froglet, I think it's adorable. The froglet no longer has gills. It can go to the surface of the pond to breathe air. So they had gills, so they could only breathe underwater, and now they no longer have gills, so they have to come up to the surface to breathe. Do we have gills? No, we don't have gills. When the froglet's tail shrinks, look, very shrunk tail, it's ready to leave the pond. Off it goes. Plants that provide shade and shelter are good for frogs, such as ferns and long grass. We've got some ferns, we've got some long grass, got some bulrushes, all very good for froggies. Lily pads make good resting places. So lily pads float on the surface, very beautiful. The lilies that come with the lily pads. Here we go, there's a water lily. Frogs like dark, damp, cool places in a garden. A clay plant pot turned on its side or a pile of logs makes safe places for frogs to rest. After a couple more weeks, the tail has completely disappeared. The froglet has become a froggy, a young frog. Ribbit, ribbit. It will continue to grow for 2 to 4 years to become an adult frog. The growing frog catches mini beasts and eats them all up. It catches them with its super fast, long, sticky tongue. Delicious. The adult frog has strong back legs, perfect for jumping and hunting insects and other mini beasts. I think it's after that fly. Garden flowers attract mini beasts for frogs to eat. These are some beautiful irises here. We've got a worm, a woodlouse, a weevil. On the pond, there's a pond skater, so they go across the surface, hence the name pond skater. Frogs also sit and wait for creepy crawlies to come by, then flick out their tongue, whoop, and catch them. The fully grown frog eats all sorts of garden mini beasts, from flies, weevils and wood lice to worms and snails. There's a snail and there's that fly. Adult frogs will lay their eggs in the pond, starting the life cycle all over again. Now, there are many different frogs around the world, from tiny, brightly coloured ones to ones that grow really big. There's a flying frog. Big webbed feet help this flying frog to glide between trees. This is the Wallace's flying frog, and it's found in Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand. The poison dart frogs. They are brightly coloured, and these brightly coloured tiny frogs, they are the size of a thumb, and the bright colours keep them safe. They warn other animals that they are poisonous. This is the strawberry poison dart frog, found in Central America, and the dying poison dart frog, which is found in Northeast South America. There are also camouflage frogs. Now, many frogs, like our frogs that we see in this country, are quite well camouflaged for the average garden. But then there are ones that are super well camouflaged, like these guys. Look at them. Camouflage is colouring that helps to hide these frogs from animals that might eat them. It also helps these frogs hunt. They wait unseen, then catch passing creatures. This is the ornate burrowing frog found in Australia. And this is the branded bullfrog found in many places in Asia, including China and India. Goodness, got my tongue tied there. Super-sized. This is the Goliath frog from West Africa. It's huge, the size of a cat. I know, incredible. Can you even begin to imagine that? Now, what's the difference between a frog and a toad? Most frogs have smooth, damp skin and long back legs. Frogs lay their eggs in large clumps, the frog spawn we know about. Some toads are smooth, but many are bumpy, and some have shorter back legs than frogs. Toads lay their eggs in long, stringy chains, so different from frog spawn. But frogs and toads are very similar. They both like damp, dark places to hide. You might spot them, either of them, in your garden if you live near a pond. Or I guess a lake, if you live near a lake as well. And it's easy to get them muddled up. They are very similar. Now, frogs and toads like freshwater ponds, rivers and lakes. Here are some places they live in. Woodland swamps. So you could also find frogs if you live near a river too. I missed that out when I was saying ponds and lakes. We've got the rivers. Streams as well, I guess. So, woodland swamps. The edible frog from Central Europe. This frog likes to spend lots of time in water. See, look, you can see the water lilies we were learning about earlier. Ribbit. Wet, hot rainforests. The red-eyed tree frog from southern Mexico, Central America, and northern South America. The sticky toes help tree frogs to climb. Ribbit. Frogs and toads live everywhere except Antarctica and the oceans. They can't live in salty water, so only fresh water. They even live in dry deserts. This is Couch's spadefoot toad. From North America, it can be found in the desert areas of Arizona and California. It keeps cool underground. Look at that. And even cold Alaska. The wood frog freezes in cold winters, but actually stays alive when it's frozen, like a frog-shaped block of ice, and thaws in the spring. So it's from North America and it lives as far north as Alaska. Imagine that, being able to freeze but stay alive for a whole season and then thaw out. Incredible. Nature is amazing. So here is our life cycle. So we start off with the frog spawn, the frog eggs in jelly-like stuff. They become the tadpoles. They push their way out of the jelly. Tadpoles, 4-week-old tadpoles, they're developing. 9-week-old tadpoles, look, they've got long tails and legs. 14-week-old froglets, oh, they're just that short little tail, and they've got all nice strong legs now, looking very like a frog. And then they become a fully grown adult frog. And the fully grown adult frog has frog spawn, and the life cycle continues over and over again, round and round. Remember, it's best just to watch and listen to frogs in a garden or in the wild. You could harm them if you catch them or try to move them or their frog spawn into another pond. So it's best to just observe and watch and enjoy and appreciate nature and all of its wonder and amazingness, but not to get too hands-on with the froggies. Okay? Right, we've got some key words here. This is a glossary. It's giving you some key words from the book. So if you want to look up any of the key words from the story, here you go. You can share those with your adults now. Okay, and I'm just going to pan back over to our life cycle to finish off with. I wonder what interesting facts you have learnt about frogs, because we learnt about the life cycle, but we also learnt lots of very interesting facts about frogs today. Which fact did you find most interesting, I wonder? Bye for now.